It's preparing. All right, I think we're good. All right, Dan, go for it.
Good morning. I'm Dan Sisek, and I'm here with my friends Samantha Studebaker, Jason Roberts, and Catherine Clement, and as part of the Mindset Mastery Collective and the Saturday Morning Mastermind. And we are here to continue on with our book, Whatever Rises, Love That by Matt Kahn. Here's the book. I'm actually traveling today, so I've stopped and I'm in my car. I'm kind of like Samantha. She's working today, so but we are continuing on with the book, and we'll be starting on page 9 with the part that says learning to love what arises. And I think Catherine, last time as we started, she got into like the first paragraph, so I think we'll start with that first paragraph again, just to kind of recap that, and we'll have a read for like 15 minutes, and then we'll jump in and start discussion if anybody has any thoughts or ideas. So if Catherine is willing and would like to start reading, I'll mute and turn it over to her.
Thanks, Dan. Good morning, everybody. Learning to love what arises. Throughout this process, it is important to remember that a sensation only feels like a barrier for as long as you refuse to feel it. As it is invited to be felt, a willingness to experience each moment as an opportunity to heal clears out layers of cellular memory to make room for the emergence of heart-centered consciousness. For many people, it's easy to judge those uncomfortable feelings that always seem to erupt at the most inconvenient moments. The more often such feelings are triggered, the more effortless it becomes to interpret each surge of emotional reaction as an ongoing problem that has to be fixed. You can even seek out countless healing modalities or various spiritual paths, hoping something will make the distracting, painful, and inconvenient nature of feelings disappear. While a path or healing process can offer you momentary relief through reframing or changes of state, the feelings inevitably come back until you are able to acknowledge each reaction as evidence of a deeper journey already in progress. While many become disheartened and frustrated when the promise of a modality or spiritual path doesn't live up to its claims, through the eyes of the universe, it is obvious that nothing can take away the proof that profound healing is underway. Your highest wisdom invites you to see every reaction as a moment of spiritual activation. Through the welcoming of any feeling, cellular debris is released out of your energy field. Since each individual is an expression of the universe, the cellular debris released out of one person simultaneously assists in the healing of all. This is why loving what arises is the single most important way to fulfill your divine destiny. One heartfelt embrace at a time, you are able to welcome the spontaneous healing that shifts your reality and supports the evolution of every being all at once. Like children tugging at the pant leg of a parent, each emotional reaction reminds you of the perfect moment in time to participate in your healing journey. By acknowledging the deeper healing that occurs when allowing each emotion to be openly felt, you have already taken your first exciting step towards loving what arises. The farther you go, the easier it is to make peace with the perfectly orchestrated catalysts that can often make your life seem out of control. The more each feeling is welcomed, no matter how uncomfortable or inconvenient it seems to be, the easier it is to be aligned with your heart, despite the circumstances in view. While many people acknowledge love as a noble value and even recognize it as the highest vibration in existence, very few are aware of how to love without being inspired by the actions of another. It can be easy to reciprocate when you are on the receiving end of compliments from your partner, and it is natural to find the innocence of animals and children endearing. However, for many, the very remedy their heart cries out for, love, seems elusive because they do not know how to cultivate it by offering it freely. Once you allow feelings to be felt on a more intimate level, the next step is learning to relax your body. While you may not feel relaxed in response to the emotional waves that churn within you, notice what happens when you relax everything around the emotion you feel. An easy way to relax your body is to slow your breath. Many people attempt to deepen their breath, but wind up inhaling quickly along the way. The key is slow, gentle breathing to remind your body it is safe to let in and feel what could only be another moment of transformation. Once the intensity of a strong emotion is welcomed in with slower breaths, the next step is to locate the feeling you are sensing. While there can be a tendency to label each feeling in an attempt to trace it to a root cause or childhood trauma, such processes are geared more towards psychoanalyzing your memories, which can reframe your experience without healing it on a cellular level. When only love can make it safe enough to face what you feel, the deepest healing is accessed by welcoming each sensation without a need to analyze, contemplate, or process your experiences any further. Just by bringing greater attention to the part of your body where strong emotions or physical pain linger, you are loosening each layer of cellular memory to assist in another moment of healing. Perhaps instead of thinking about your feelings or focusing on who is to blame for your circumstances, you can choose to locate the part of your body where you notice such sensations. Once you've located this place within your body, whether it feels centered in your head, stomach, chest, or any other part of your body, simply allow your attention to rest in the center of it. If you are unsure where the feeling is located, always choose your heart as a central point of focus. In whatever way is most comfortable for your experience, notice what happens when you allow your attention to rest in the center of any feeling by slowly breathing into it. Can you notice that the more intimately emotions are explored, the more easily they seem to dissipate? The next step in your healing journey is remembering and affirming the intention of the universe. No matter how often you judge any reaction, your highest purpose is for every emotion to be recognized as an opportunity to return to love for the healing, awakening, and transformation of all. To help shift the insufferable nature of human conditioning into a spontaneous moment of healing, please repeat the following mantra, healing mantra. I accept this feeling is only here to be embraced as it's never been embraced before. When you recognize that the intention of the universe is to invite whatever reaction, event, outcome, or circumstance that ensures your greatest spiritual discovery, you are able to reduce the sharpness of feelings and benefit from each emotional release. As the war against discomfort and inconvenience is unraveled by accepting your experiences as contributions towards a more evolved humanity, you are able to view the activity of your life in a more spiritually aligned way. This can help you recognize even the most insurmountable odds as gateways into new paradigms of consciousness that do not require you to suffer when loving what arises. When you remember a wise and loving universe has orchestrated your life to inspire your highest potential in physical form, you are able to more freely offer yourself the support you need during moments when it matters the most. This can be as simple as finding a comfortable place to sit and closing your eyes while your hands rest on the location of an uncomfortable feeling. As you gently breathe your attention into the center of any feeling, simply repeat the following healing mantra, either silently or out loud. I love you. In a soft, supportive, and gentle tone, continue saying, I love you, like a lullaby that you would sing to a child. The more playful you allow each I love you to be, the more your heart will open. Try offering I love yous for a 2-minute period. Even if the reaction dissipates after the first few, continue to offer love as a way of reminding your innocence. When healing occurs, and even beyond the releasing of emotional debris, you deserve more love, not less. This reminds your innocence of your role as its wise and loving guardian. With more attention given to whatever arises, your true innocent nature learns that it doesn't need to be in constant crisis or emotional peril in order to receive the support that you are now willing to offer. If a reaction occurs, repeat the process for another 2 minutes. Whether you are experiencing constant upheavals of emotion or reveling in the large gaps between each reaction, the point isn't to be in a space where no feelings arise. Instead, you are allowing the grace of love to transform how you relate to your lifetime of experiences. When rooted in your heart, human reactions contain an essential spiritual role, both in your personal journey and throughout the evolution of humanity. One I love you at a time, the perfection of divine will offers you opportunities to accelerate your healing through your willingness to embrace your heart like a child in pain. No matter how the child in your heart is feeling, fearful, agitated, sad, grieving, guilty, jealous, angry, hateful, or hurt, when returning to love becomes your primary response, each emotion acts as an invitation into a more spiritually aligned existence. Perhaps each feeling reminds you of a time in your life when you didn't receive the attention and support you so deeply desired. One I love you at a time, you can offer the one who remembers the past that shaped your view, the kindness, support, acceptance, and care that allows the influences of human conditioning to be resolved. By embracing your feelings with heart-centered attention, you are equally helping to dissolve patterns of judgment throughout the collective unconscious. This may help you acknowledge so-called negative experiences as remarkable expansions in evolution. Even if confronted by an emotion that is too difficult to face or feels impossible to love, this simply becomes an opportunity to love the one who is unable to openly face the fate of their experiences. Like a processional line of cosmic redemption, each moment of healing brings to the surface layers of emotion that await your embrace. Each one represents moments from the past where your feelings or experiences may have been judged as bad versus good. Whether loving the one in pain, honoring the one who is scared, or acknowledging the one who refuses to face discomfort, loving what arises helps you unearth a greater cosmic picture, even in the most subtle or uneventful moments of life. Sometimes it may be difficult to believe, but everything in reality only seems the way it is so that you can recognize it as an invitation to harmonize with the light of divine will. In fact, there is no other reason that something would come into view, no matter where the finger of blame tends to point. With every step forward along a heart-centered path, you are able to clear away the confusion by acknowledging the most pivotal reason that anything emerges to the forefront of your life. Beyond the outdated beliefs that your thoughts create your reality or are karmic punishment for past indiscretions, each emotional surge invites you to welcome in yourself all that has yet to be faced, acknowledged, or honored by anyone else. In the most honest and intimate way, you are able to resolve every conflict that has been stored in cellular memory and projected into appearance as the world around you. Whether it seems easy at times or impossible to approach, always trust in the power of love to make things right on your behalf. Being worthy of love. As you become more receptive to your feelings than ever before, it is normal to wonder if you are worthy of receiving this much focused time and attention. Perhaps you're not feeling the love, or it seems inauthentic to say, I love you so often.
Catherine, sorry to jump in. I was thinking maybe we could stop there and with this being worthy of love as the next thought, part to start next week. Is that okay with everybody? Okay. So are there any thoughts or anything on this past section on loving what arises? Give me a second. Let me get back to learning to love what arises.
Sure. First of all, hey, I'd like to jump out real quick and just say thank you, Catherine,
Okay.
for that terrific reading. I appreciate that so much. You did a great job there. And I just want to reflect on, in general, I love the idea of how the author is telling us to give time to each one of our emotional sensations and to recognize them and to love them and to to honor them and whatnot. I think that's, in general, that's a great idea. I'm liking it. And again, thanks once again, Catherine.
Sorry, I was having trouble getting myself unmuted. Yeah, also, I'd like to thank you, Catherine. You always do such a great job reading and bring out, such genuine emotion when you read and, for us. For me, to your point, and just on my end, it was you sounded a little muted, Jason. Just, I don't know if your sound's all the way up or if it's just my headset. But the part about taking time to like really stop and I guess be in that emotion or be in that, sometimes I'll be honest, the way I'm looking at it or the way I'm thinking about it is I don't feel like I have time to stop and love that emotion or love that moment. I'm in that moment and I'm already there dealing with the other feelings I'm having. And a lot of times it's not until I stop and go back and later kind of review or put it into a better context for myself as I review. That's sometimes when I take, for me, more and more lately, it seems like I take this big, deep breath, and I'm finding that that's been helpful for me is when I go back and do my review and look at things and review things and how I handled it or how I, felt it. When I take that big, deep breath and then exhale it out, I think sometimes I'm letting some of that out, and I don't know if it's me loving that moment, but I feel it's getting something out of me sometimes that, or it gives me that moment to really reflect and say, okay, what about this moment do I need to really look at, or do I really? So to me, sometimes, and it's hard sometimes to go back in retrospect and get back to that same feeling I was having because it's past. I'm not in that moment. And so now sometimes it's almost like it's residual. And so then I start looking at it, well, I should have done this or I should have done that. And I don't know, if I can go back and love that moment, if I'm actually really loving that moment and bringing full peace or restoration or healing to myself. And I don't know if that's anything anybody else deals with or has done, but that's some of the thoughts that I was taking away from as we were doing this.
That's a great point, Dan. I'll just add that I kind of thought the same thing. How do you do these sorts of practices on the fly. It just occurred to me, like, to do what you said you would try to do, but you think may not be able to do, is to step back into that moment and to experience those feelings later on at a time when you have a moment to address it, and then do that in preparation for your next day, when you might be getting into that sort of a situation again. That's what I think I would try to do. That's my only suggestion, is to prepare, and each time I have a feeling that comes up, then when I then in the evenings, and when I'm taking note of how my day went and what occurred, to maybe jot that idea down, and use one of these practices to try to work through that, and then maybe we get better at it as we go along, And like you were saying with the deep breath, hey, if that works good for you, then great. If maybe just breathing softer and slower, I think that's what the book was saying. If maybe that'll work even better for you, and that something you can do throughout your experiences. I think I'm going to try that. Make sure that I think I have a tendency to hold my breath in certain moments. I think that goes back to like playing like games like hide and seek, and things like we used to play manhunt in the neighborhood, and like a larger game of hide and seek, and or even I'll stop everything and hold my breath and just listen, to try to even see if I'm even feeling a pain that I used to have, or if I'm hearing something that's off in the distance, or if but I definitely have a tendency to hold my breath sometimes, and that might even cause more of a sensation that I'm not or compound things. So I think, yeah, it's being aware of that. I think you're on the right track, Dan.
Well, as I was just thinking, even I don't want to say I don't get into the emotions. Sometimes I do, because there are some things that really affect me. But when I get there, it's a different, I'm in the emotion, but it's a different emotion. But then I still have, I don't know if, even if the reviewing, sometimes I'll be honest. Sometimes I don't want to love what arises. I don't want to give that healing. I don't want to, because I was either deeply hurt, or it really deeply affected me, or somehow it's a part of who I am now, and it's made me up to be who I am and into the person I am, which I think in the way I try and treat other people and react with other people, and how I do things with other people, that I try and give to them what I wanted back, or what I needed. But even then, still, I am getting a little bit of understanding of what he's trying to say in the book. Is and I think it goes back to, I think we all agree, we need to love ourselves first, and maybe that's still a part of where maybe I think I've gotten better at it over the years, and I think I feel good about myself and I love myself, but maybe there's still some little aspects in the deepest, darkest recesses, even when I go back and revisit them, and I get into those moments, I just don't feel like the people or the actions or the things that happen aren't worthy of love. And so therefore, why do I need to say I love it? Maybe that's a little more closer to what I'm trying to get at.
Let me real quick. I get that. I get that for sure. I think that what's neat about this book is that he's not saying love that. He's saying give yourself the love that you deserved at that moment. Allow yourself to give yourself that love and be that support to yourself through those emotions that come up when you think about it. So we're not loving that those things happen to us. We're not loving the people for doing that thing to us, but we are working through the sensations and the feelings with learning to give ourselves that love rather than depending on others to give it to us. Like in the one part, he says, while many people acknowledge love as a noble value and even recognize it as a highest vibration in existence, very few are aware of how to love without being inspired by actions of another. And it can be easy to reciprocate when you are on the receiving end of a compliment for a partner. And it's natural to find the innocence of animals and children's endearing. However, for many, the very remedy their heart cries out for, love, seems elusive because they do not know how to cultivate it by offering it freely. And so I think these practices are to learn to offer it freely to ourselves through those, not through, but to help heal ourselves during those times of that emotional feeling, whether it's in the moment or whether we bring it up later on.
Okay, I'm going to come back out again because I think another side to, as I'm thinking about this a little bit more, I think overall I do love myself, but I can do better of loving myself and giving myself that love in those times and those moments and stuff. But at the same point, in some ways, I feel like, why should I have to go back and love and give myself that love that I needed, that I truly think the other people around me or the other circumstances around me should have, and maybe this is the part I'm missing, or maybe this is where I'm not connecting the dots, is I want that to have been from them in the initial process, to have loved and valued me enough to know and understand that what is happening was not what was best, I think, for them or for me. And so therefore, both sides have now got the repercussions of it and dealing with it. And to me, it's almost like going back and saying, oh, well, it's okay. I love myself enough and it's okay. And, I can kind of gloss over. And I'm sorry, I don't want to gloss over. I really want the other side to really understand that they should have loved themselves enough then to be able to love me enough in that sense and put that out. But that's, again, maybe that's part of what this book is all about, is maybe over getting above and to that next level. And I think I'm still working on that.
Hey, Jason, there's a part that you read last week where it was talking about, we're not asking you to do the forgiving. We're not asking you to do that. It's when you love yourself, love does it for you, or something along that line. Do you remember that part, Jason? Can you read that again? Can you find it maybe? I think that's kind of what we're touching on. And I don't know that it was in the previous section. It may have been in the section before that. It was somewhere. Actually, I may have even made a copy of that and posted it in the Facebook group. I can't remember. But I think that was kind of part of it, is that it's in the beginning of this section, it starts by telling us that when these emotions come up, is to remember that these are opportunities for growth, and to just send love to that emotion. It's not saying forgive anyone, forget anyone, expect anything from anyone, do anything, or whatever. It's like whatever that emotion is, even that emotion that's telling you, Dan, that you want them to make the change, or see the change, or see what they did, or whatever. Even that is a separate feeling that you can send love to, regardless of what, because I feel like when you're saying that, you're feeling bad that you're not wanting to forgive them, or wanting to change your opinion about them. And it's not telling us to do that. It's telling us to send ourselves love instead of beating ourselves up about having the feelings that we're having. And, when at one point in the conversation, you mentioned, or Jason mentioned, I'm sorry, I'm driving, so it's confusing who's saying what when, about not having the time in the moment to address the emotion. But if you're having the emotion and you have a split second feeling that you shouldn't be having that emotion, you can change that to love, instead of calling yourself out for having a bad feeling. You know what I'm saying? And even if you don't do it in the moment, when you're thinking back on that emotion and you're thinking to yourself, oh, I shouldn't have, or I ought to, or I had this emotion and now I feel bad about it, that's an opportunity for us to love ourselves and to send ourselves love for having those emotions at all. Because I think that as people, we tend to have this idea in our head that we're not supposed to have these outburst emotions, that we're just supposed to be calm all the time and happy. And who is? Nobody is. Everybody has an emotional roller coaster of things going on in their heads all the time. And I think we beat ourselves up way too much for that, whatever it is. And I feel like that's what it's just trying to tell us, is it doesn't matter what you're feeling. It just send it love. Those emotions love, because we know you're beating yourself up over it. So just keep sending yourself love until sending yourself love is the automatic response, rather than beating yourself up. That's my.
Yeah, and I think, like what you're saying, in the moment, if we're get better at recognizing where that sensation is in our body, where it was suggesting put your hand on that spot and just say I love you, as a quick way of recognizing and doing something with it. I found that passage, so real quick. It says, in celebration of your own true innocent nature, love doesn't ask you to accept what cannot be accepted. It simply says, just embrace your own heart and I will accept on your behalf. It does not ask you to forgive what is unforgivable, but simply says, just embrace your own heart and I will forgive on your behalf. It doesn't even ask you to love what cannot be loved. Instead, it simply says, just embrace your own heart and I will love on your behalf. So yeah, I think that it's we can't change other people and the moments in which they possibly weren't able to do what they were, what we needed them to do. They weren't able to love the way they needed to be able to love. Just like perhaps we're not able to love our, when we want to be open the way we feel like we need to, but we're closed off. And so I think in in a sense, I mean, we're dealing with kind of the same things that maybe they had been dealing with, but we're trying to correct them. We're trying to correct these within ourselves, because that's where we have the power, and we have the power to cultivate that love, and overcome these feelings, and at the same time give ourselves the support and love that we may have needed in those moments, so that those moments don't flow over into future moments.
Both points are great points and stuff. And I get them, and that's the part, because it's funny, because my head, gets it and understands it, but sometimes the parts of me that have dealt with some of the things I've dealt with just like, for going back to the child me, sometimes is hard to go back to even speak in and give some of that love that I need, because giving myself the love that I think I needed, I still think kind of is short and missing part of what I needed from the other person. And I think, or the other incident or whatever, is that, and maybe this is part of where I need to grow more and work on more, is even though I'm trying to give love to that, and the love I feel I need, and in my head, or I don't feel that it equates and is the same as what, and maybe this is it, what I think it should have been coming from them, and how it would have felt. It's like when it's like trying to give a hug to myself, but at the same point, when I would get a hug from my mom or my grandmother, there's a difference, and there's a warmth and a connection and something. And so trying to give myself that same kind of hug that I would get from them, it's not the same, and it does not conjure and connect and get that same feeling that I get. So if I'm going back and trying to give that to myself, out of myself, does it really get in and get there and really do what I really needed it to do, or what I felt, or what I believe that I think? So does that mean I have to reframe how I think, like when I metaphorically give myself a hug, as opposed to when I get a hug from somebody that I really, and I feel it between us, and I feel that energy and that difference, and that's, I think, the root thing I'm trying to get down to, and that base feeling, and that base emotion, and that base sense of that it's being transferred out from there into me, rather than me transferring it into myself and coming of myself. And I think that's part of what I'm getting down into, what I'm trying to get out and get spoken to. And I believe that maybe a lot of people have that same issue.
Yeah, all I can say is I don't think that it's about replacing that, for what you're saying, replacing like that hug that we may not have gotten when we needed it, with a hug from ourselves. It's not about, I don't think it's about replacing that. I think it's about more with dealing with the feelings that come up from it, that, from, because I think our minds and our hearts sometimes tend to go different ways with things. And, nothing can, well, I just think there's there's some healing that can be done. I mean, we can't replace we can't replace some of those actions, but there's healing that can be done. And I think that maybe that's more that what we're talking about more is what can be done, and what can be healed, and what can make things kind of make those feelings be less or different, or even more beneficial. Because, like you said, I mean, those experiences do shape our lives, and they kind of become part of us. And sometimes we get attached to those, even if they're somewhat negative. We get attached to them, thinking that, well, that's part of me. That's what makes me who I am. It's like, well, yeah, but it's also the trauma that you're holding inside. So you got to make a decision. Do you want to hold that inside, or do you want to, heal it? You're not going to change who you are. You're still going to be empathetic to those who didn't get that. You're still going to remember that, but you're not going to have the upwelling of feelings that traumatize you when you think about it. That's just my thoughts on it. But I'd love to hear what everyone else has to say about it, and I'd love to see also hear maybe what Catherine's thoughts are on that, and how the healing process is in regards to that.
I'm going to jump out a second. Where I'm at, I have something I'm taking a part in, and lines are starting to form and stuff. So I'm going to jump off, because I want to get in line and get a good seat and stuff for what I'm taking part in. So I'm going to hand over the host back over to Samantha. I'm sorry. I thought I could stay on for the full hour, but now seeing the lines and stuff, I want to get in line and get a spot and everything. So I will jump off now, but I will catch the replay so I can hear what other thoughts are said and throw in my 2 cents worth later.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan. Thank you so much.
And I'll talk to you guys later.
All right.
Yeah.
Take care. Have a great day.
I will.
Thanks for hosting. Bye-bye. Yeah, just some great points.
Samantha, you're the host. Sorry.
Some great real world points.
Oh my goodness, Karen, when did Karen come in? I want to hear what Karen has to say. We're so happy you're here. We were talking about you earlier. We're like, she wasn't here last week. Was she here yeah, she was here the week before. We were trying to make sure that we were keeping track of you.
Yeah, how you doing, Karen?
She may not. There she is.
Thank you so much for thinking about me and being concerned. Let me ask you, can you see anything other than just kind of a shadow? When you look at my frame?
No, you're kind of like a silhouette in front of the window.
Okay.
Yeah. No
all right.
worries.
Well, that'll be all right for right now. I moved. I have gotten back into that room that I liked so well, with the 2 different views, and I had no idea, and I don't think that they really intended for me to have to do the move primarily myself. But one person was on vacation, and once I was given the okay to take things from the one room to the other room, I thought I would do that as quickly as I could, so that I could hopefully not lose so much. I had lost a lot in the move before. Well, I guess it's all compared to what, but anyway, I couldn't make it on last week, and today I was thinking, you know, to make a habit, a good habit, can take quite a while, as we all know, but to break a good habit only takes one time, really. And I thought, I need to get on today somehow, even if it's late and all that kind of thing. So um, just the chat about the love part that I heard, which was primarily Dan and Jason. No, I heard a little bit of Sam talking about let's see, what was she saying? Instead of beating ourselves up, we need to give love to ourselves. And then when Dan talked about that, I was hearing, and this isn't really fair to him since he's not on right now, but I was hearing so much judgment, so much of himself and his mother and grandmother. And I know for myself that I do a lot of judgment. That's one of the things that that I have finally been able to see more often, you know, more frequently in myself, is that I'm judging myself, or I'm judging another person. If I'm judging another person, I'm really judging myself at the same time. Maybe not so harshly. Maybe it just seems, you know, I'm pressing the harshness onto somebody else. But it's interesting to me to see that, because where there's judgment, this is interesting. I don't know if I thought about this before. I don't know if there can be love. In other words, if we're trying to give ourselves love, I don't know that we can do that at the same time that we're giving ourselves judgment. And I know that I have a real habit of judgment of others and judgment of myself. And I am loosening up on that. I know that the crowd that we see in this every week, we all, you know, we all love each other, we all appreciate each other, and we can stand each other. So I'm going to tell you something. Yesterday, my med tech came in with my meds, and I was in the other room, and I have this large baker's rack, which has helped me so much. I can pile things on that, and then I can, it's got big wheels. I can take it, you know, down where I need to. And he said, what are you doing with that? And I said, hopefully that'll be my last load. And he said, what, you have constipation? You have, is it diarrhea? And I said, what are you talking about? And he said, well, you said it was your last load. So anyway, that reminds me of something that, you know, as we get older, it's really, I'm sure there isn't a single one of us that loves this aspect of aging, but, you know, things loosen up, and things aren't, you can't make a judgment about things quite the same way. And I had a real stressful situation last week, and I had to call on people to help me figure out what to do. And a bodily function, a problem that you just nobody wants to deal with. And they just came through like champs. They just really had good ideas, and things worked out fine. But I know that, had I been younger by even, I don't know, not very long, it would have crushed me. I would have stayed in my room and hoped that nobody that I knew came in, and it just really would have been difficult for me to deal with. So, long story long, I apologize for that. It is possible to take these things that we're learning and throw some mud against the wall or spaghetti against the wall or whatever, and have it show up as helpful to us. So that's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Karen. It was so good to hear from you. And, the saddest part about abuse, whether it comes from a parent or a spouse or whoever it comes from, is that we take that situation. Sometimes it's one incident, sometimes it's multiple incidents, sometimes it's years of abuse, but whatever it is, like we finally get away from it, but then we carry that and we abuse ourselves with it every day forward until we heal that. That's the saddest part. We become the abuser. And it's exceptionally sad when you think about, sometimes it might have just been a few events, maybe even one event or one incident, and then we carry that for sometimes entire lifetimes. Some people carry it, and that is, I'm sure, as I'm speaking now and as you listened to Dan speak earlier, I'm sure everyone felt his pain and his sadness. And to think that those incidents happened so many years ago, and some of the people involved are they're not even on the earth anymore. To me, it's when someone abuses someone, that's because they're so damaged themselves. And it's really challenging. You mentioned judgment, Karen. It's it's really, how can you expect someone who is that damaged to provide you with your idea of what you think they should provide? Like it's not reality. And I totally get it. Like, I'm not trying to dog on you, Dan. I know you'll come back and listen to this later, and I'm not trying to I so get it. And I think every one of us as human beings do that to ourselves. But the true act of love, to me, is when we finally realize, oh my God, I'm the abuser. I am the freaking abuser. And I have abused far, far, far more many years than any of those other people ever did to me by carrying that. And the true act of love is recognizing that, and then forgiving yourself and really loving yourself, because there isn't a human being on earth that isn't damaged in some way, shape, or form. Everybody. But oftentimes, and in our past generations, there was really severe abuse in the families, and it was a generational thing, and it was very common in my growing up and my parents growing up to get knocked across the room. But that was just the way it was. And we come from a different generation of a different time, but those parents were responding because they were coming out of the depression and different, like, from the beginning of time, humans have been challenged with just one life shitstorm after another, and people really suck at like healing themselves from those traumas. They just drag them along, but the real act is when we can recognize that and lay those things down and realize that there isn't, yes, judge not, yet, I don't know how it goes, but judge not, or lest you be judged yourself, or whatever. It's not, I never thought that meant, well, I take that back. When I was little, going to church, I thought that meant I shouldn't judge somebody else, because when I die and go to heaven, God is going to judge me for judging those people. That's what I thought that meant. But now I know that when you judge someone else, you are judging yourself, because we're all so connected. And if you can't forgive, someone who's so damaged, that means you can't forgive yourself. And so this, loving what arises and not washing over those emotions. That's not what this book is saying at all. It's not saying don't acknowledge those. It's saying absolutely acknowledge those emotions and that pain, but love yourself through that instead of judging yourself through that, or judging someone else, about that. And I know it's such a challenging thing to do. And that is, that's the human journey, is seeing all of the abuses and the inequity, the how some people seem to have nothing and some people have it all, and some people just have lives. Every day of their lives is pure suffering, and to witness all that and still maintain, that light that you are. That is the challenge of being human. How can we come here and witness all of that and experience some of that personally and still keep our light shining? And the only way we can do that is with love. That's the only way that we can do that.
Well, thank you for that, Catherine. I certainly got a lot from that. I appreciate you speaking on those things. And thank you, Karen, for also stepping out and mentioning what you did. That was wonderful too. Again, another great meetup here, guys. I've once again opening my eyes to things I hadn't really thought of, and re-examining things I had forgotten to come back and review myself. So thanks again for being here today, and I appreciate you all so very much. Thank you.
I'm not in a position to see my clock. Have we gotten to the top of the hour?
We are, but I need like 5 minutes before I can finish this out. If you guys want to just share any other final thoughts before we can do that.
Thank you. While Catherine was talking, it came to my mind how much easier it is if we can find someone that we can talk things through with. I mean, I really do think that our group here that meets on Saturday mornings, most of the Saturday mornings, we really support and help one another. I believe we probably think about each other during the week and can take strength from. I love Jason's backgrounds and his hair moving and things that just make me, able to think of him and his smile. And but I think that we need to keep in mind that we're not, no man is an island. And I think especially as we get older, it's really important to find people that we can talk with. We have a chat group here. It used to be most every morning for about 40 minutes. Now it's at least still three mornings a week. And I struggle with it because, it's often about football. It's often about, what's going on with whatever. And it's difficult to introduce it into the chat, something a little bit more meaningful. And yet we're a group of people that tend to end up at the dining room at the same time, or, we could form a closer group where we could feel more comfortable sharing where we're at with things, as far as, how well we're doing with the idea of loving what arises. That's always a challenge. And my guess would be it will always be a challenge until we die. Anyway, I mainly wanted to throw out that I think it's a good thing if we can find people in our lives that we can share these concepts with. It'd be great if we could get them to join us. I was thinking maybe we ought to meet at like 1 a.m. It seems a little unfair to me that I have to be up so much earlier than the rest of you because, I'm west of you. And I thought, well, that's kind of a cheap attitude. But anyhow, I love being with you. I'm so thankful that I got on. I'm grateful to know, Catherine, that you were thinking about me, and I appreciate that you all try and make something out of what I have to say. Thanks so much.
Yeah, something that, go ahead, Jason. Go ahead.
Just wanted to say thank you.
Okay. Something that came up, Catherine, when you were talking about, all this chaos in the world and all of our lives and everything. And that, we just are on this continuous journey. And, it seems like all of the spiritual teachers tell us that we're on a spiritual journey. And sometimes, like, why? Why would we do this to ourselves? And, but I mean, it maybe that's it. Maybe that's the go through this life, have shit happen, get over it, get past it, love it, whatever it is. And then the next time we go through, we come back and we do it again. And maybe it's ultimately we just have to keep doing this until we can let go of the crap that happens to us, and we can just live our lives and live like, what do they call it? Like, just live. I don't even know what the word is for it, but just, I don't know, just instantaneously, oh, that happened. Oh, no big deal. What's, whew, I'm past it. Now I'm going to keep on going because it's not me. I didn't do it. It doesn't have anything to do with me. Kind of like, every day I can drive through traffic and people are freaking idiots out here. I'm telling you. And I'm like, I can just kind of look at them and be like, oh, well, they're gone now. I don't have to think about that anymore. And what if we could get to the point where when somebody does something mean to us, or somebody does something that we don't like or disapprove of or whatever, is that we can just notice it's a thing, like the breeze blowing by, and then go on about our lives with love in our hearts and not worry about what everybody else is doing, regardless of how close to us it comes or how much it may affect the course of our lives or whatever. Is that we can just recognize that they're on a different place in their spiritual journey than what I am, and it's okay, and I love them anyway, and I love myself enough to not beat myself up over whatever shit happens in my life after it's already happened and done and gone. And that, I don't know, I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense, really, I feel like, because this life is a constant roller coaster of insane moments and happy moments and unpleasant, and then they're good, and then they're bad, and then they're crazy, and then they make no sense, and it's just this constant. I look out into the world with everybody and everything, and I'm just like shaking my head through most of it. I'm just like, what the heck? Why? I don't get it. And and a lot of it I can just be like, all right, well, that's not really affecting me, so why am I worried about it? And and then you have the kind of the other side of the people are like, well, you should be worried about it. Oh my God, you're not worried about that, but should I really be worried about it? I don't know. I'm like, if we're just loving whatever arises in the moment, whatever it is, whether it's an emotional thing or an event or whatever, I can have love and be love in this moment, regardless of the chaos that's going on around me, whether there's a tornado spinning around over, or, or the tornado of insanity happening in the world. Because we've had some pretty traumatic events in our lives, and we've survived it. We've come out on the other side, and we're okay. And it sucked going through it. It was really not fun. And yet here I am in a moment with you guys where I'm just loving having this conversation with you and looking out, and there's the sunshine shining down, even though it's cloudy, and I can love this moment right here. And I guess that we can choose to love any moment in any situation, regardless of the chaos that's happening. And maybe that's just the message. That's the message right there, is just it's happening. It sucks. I'm loving myself anyway, and I'm just going to take what comes and work with what I got, and go forward and not stress about what already happened. So I don't know. I have love for all of you so very much, and Dan, particularly the struggle that you're going through, and I get it. I mean, not to the extent that you went through it, obviously, because I didn't go through that, but I get it. I can feel it. I can sympathize, and if we have been repeating lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, odds are pretty good I've already been there and done that. And I don't want to say that in a flippant kind of way, but what if we've all already been there and done that, and we're just on a different place in our journey, and we're all in the same freaking journey? I mean, who knows? I don't know. So I'm glad that we can talk about these things. Anyone else have anything to say before we wrap up for today? Nope.
I might hop out real quick. and just say, I'm sorry we weren't able to hear from Lori. She was on here a little while ago also. But I find it very interesting what you're saying there, Samantha. And the thought occurred to me about how, you know, you were saying how things, you didn't use the word perpetuate, but I always think of how we perpetuate our circumstances or the things that we experience onto others, and how energies flow and how they can be, how we can attract those energies and then accidentally turn those energies on when we don't expect. And I was thinking about how people that say they grew up at a different age, like Catherine was saying, and they went through a different time and experienced things differently, and they may not have had everything that they thought they should have. So then they give that, they grow up and they have a family, and they want to give their family and their children everything that they didn't have, you know. But then there's also those people that experience the same exact time and similar events, and then they grow up and they say, you know, they say, well, I don't, you know, I didn't have that as a child, so I don't want my kids shouldn't have that as either. And so there's all these different perceptions. You know, we may grow up watching certain television shows and we think, well, that's the way life should be. You know, if the father in that show said we, you know, forgave his son or his daughter, and he said, well, why shouldn't I forgive you? I love you. Or why shouldn't I act this way? I love you. And then we aren't treated that way in reality in our own lives, and we think, well, does that must mean that I wasn't loved? You know, we get these perceptions, and we need to be aware of where we get them from, and maybe also not take things so personal sometimes as well, and realize that other people are going through these difficult times as well. Thank you so much for the time to speak and to be on here. I know I'm kind of rambling. I appreciate you all so very much, and have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Thanks again.
Thanks everyone for sharing today. I appreciated it so much, and thank you, Dan, for getting us going first thing with our show today. And thank you, Catherine, for reading, and Karen for sharing, and Jason, I appreciate you so much. And Lori, I wish that you would have had a chance to talk with us, but I know that you'll be listening in on the replay, so we love you. And Angel, if you're out there and you're listening, we love you too. We love you all. If you'd like to join us, we'd love to have you. All you have to do is go and do a search for Mindset Mastery Collective, and you will find us on Facebook. You'll find us on YouTube, and you can connect with us. And there's a link below this video that will take you into our Facebook group. I may even put the Zoom meeting room link in there. I can't remember, but if not, you'll find it on our Facebook group. So jump over there, join us. If you found value in this video, give us a like, share this video with anybody you think might enjoy it, and just keep on working on loving what arises in your life, because that's the way we heal ourselves, and that's the way that we continue our spiritual journey. And I think that if nothing else, we can make our lives more enjoyable for ourselves, and maybe that's just the key. I don't know, but thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on the Saturday Morning Mastermind. Bye for now. As soon as I find the bye link, which I can't find. Where are you? How do I get off of YouTube? I thought this was an easy thing here. I'm going to figure this out eventually. A quick end. Where is that? Last time I found it pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's over here. Oh, there we go. There it is.
Okay.
I knew it was a quick one. Stop the live stream. Okay, goodbye, everybody.